I'm Captain Sekou Kennebrew. I'm the commanding officer of public affairs and media relations. And in just a few moments, Captain John Ryan, he's the commanding officer of our homicide unit, is going to brief us all on the update into the investigation of the missing Temple student, Jenna Burleigh. Before we do that, I do want to fill you in on some things, that this investigation is very early in its stages. It's still going on. It's still very active. So there's going to be some information that's not either yet known or, as we continue to develop the facts, or not yet available for release. So as you hear from Captain Ryan, if you do have some questions, I want to just make sure that we have these parameters up front. Before we hear from Captain Ryan, though, we are going to hear from Commissioner Richard Ross with an overview of what's going on and where we're at with this.
All right. Obviously, you all know about this investigation, what we've been doing to date. Captain Ryan will fill you in. But all these cases bother us. All these homicides are significant issues for us that really tear at the heartstrings for a lot of these investigators, myself included, particularly when you hear about instances like this. They really hit home. I was talking to Chief Kelly over here, both of us having daughters, 22 years old. It really strikes home for you. And particularly thinking about the heartache and the grief that those parents must be going through right now, particularly that father, who last had dinner with his daughter. I mean, it really breaks your heart to hear something like that, and it was the last time you saw her. So a lot of work has gone into this thus far. Can't say enough about the men and women in the Detective Bureau. Obviously homicide all the time, but Central Detectives did a fabulous job picking this up, but the cooperation they got from the state police as well as other jurisdictions, Temple University Police and so forth. But again, it's just totally a heartbreaking case, as many of them are, and we just keep this family in our thoughts and our prayers. So Captain Ryan, you want to give some particulars on this case?
Let me just offer our deepest sympathy and condolences to the family of Ms. Burleigh. This started off as a missing persons investigation and then sadly resulted in tragedy. She was reported missing by her father on Thursday. The initial investigation was, again, missing persons with Lower Salford and Temple University Police. They developed a suspect in the case whom she was last seen with, a Joshua Hupperters. And the investigation led to an apartment on 16th Street, 1708 North 16th Street, and to a residence in Jenkintown. As the investigation developed on Friday, Central Detectives were able to locate the person of interest in Wayne County, in Hawley, PA. They went up there, interviewed Mr. Hupperterts, and brought him back to Philadelphia. 2 crime scenes were processed on 16th Street and in Jenkintown. Later or earlier today, the body presumed to be of Ms. Burleigh was discovered in Wayne County at the residence of Mr. Huppertert's grandmother in Hawley, PA. He's upstairs down. He's going to be charged with murder and related offenses.
So that's a good question. And so one of the things that we need to point out is that it did happen relatively quickly, though I'm sure those family members didn't feel that way. But given the scope of this investigation, and it is somewhat elaborate in the sense that there are multiple people who have provided information, some of whom we still don't know their connection to it, and still trying to figure that out. And so what Captain Ryan is really trying to indicate to you is that this is early. We still don't even know the cause of death. We do obviously believe, unfortunately, she was killed, but we don't know how. It's only appropriate, given the magnitude of this case, that we update you, but we still have a lot of work to do, to include trying to figure out who else may have been involved, if there's anyone else at all. But just a tragic case all the way around, but a lot of people who played a role in helping Central Detectives and Homicide find out what was going on, putting some of the pieces of this puzzle together. Tragically, it ended this way, Again, you know, our hearts go out to this family, but it's very complicated. Some of which they still just have to make sure that they dotted every I and crossed every T. So no attempts to be evasive to you folks, just trying to be very clear about the fact that it's just a lot involved, particularly when you're talking about multiple parties that have aided you in finding out, want to make sure that they weren't culpable in any way in something that has transpired in this case. And so we've got multiple people involved, as you've indicated, and the captain has indicated, and all those things have helped us get to this point. But this point is still not its finality by any stretch of the imagination, because we still have quite a few unanswered questions.
Was she sexually assaulted?
We don't know any of that right now. And so, again, it started unfolding relatively quickly once they began getting investigative information in. Some of it, you know, they're trying to maintain the integrity of the investigation for a variety of reasons. And so there are things that we cannot discuss right now, but there are also things we just don't know. We don't know a lot of answers, but didn't want to keep you in the dark about it and to let you know where we are up to this point. And so I don't believe there's anything additional we can provide right now, other than the fact that obviously the primary individual we were looking at is in custody. He will be charged, as the captain indicated, and we will see if anyone else is involved to a degree where charging is appropriate.
Thank you guys for coming out.